It is currently 5:15, so I'm in the office. This is building 1810. Remember, in the morning when I'm standing at this same office of building 1810 North Alvarado Street, Los Angeles, California, 90026, okay? This is relevant for, again, not only a prosecution for what is an unmistakable environment that is entirely unnatural. It is in direct contravention to the operation of the natural environment. It's in direct contravention to science. Okay, what we've been told, what we've been taught, what we learned, what we took science tests on in secondary school with regard to the natural environment, the sun and what it does, and the planets and all that. This is my shadow. The presence of my shadow. You can see my shadow. This is speaking to what is a light source that's right here over me. And while I stood at the same location, you saw the light source on this side of my person. This is the presence of the entity that is group stalking. This is criminal summoning while a group stalker is crossing path in a plane. That's a white plane. That is, again, I want you to see that. The entity is group stalking while sounding sirens. All right, there it is right there. The entity is group stalking while sounding sirens. That's a white plane. They're taking cover behind that tree. That's the entity stalking. Here's another one. They're group stalking by plane. Okay, while the entity is sounding sirens, this is the state acting directly. The state are the demons sounding sirens. The state are the demons pacing around in the sky, space, and planes. And LAPD is group stalking as well by helicopter. Okay, they're doing so in an environment that is entirely unnatural. This is my shadow to what is impossible in the morning as I stand at this same exact location while my body's facing this same exact hillside where the sun is rising. Okay, this is that whole cartoon environment, that scientific impossibility. I'm capturing it because it's evidence against the government that's engaging in a criminal system of surveillance, and it is prefaced, it is surrounded by the maintenance of a light source, which you and I would ordinarily call the sun. Oh, but the sun does not remain stagnated all day long, rising and setting at one address. The presence of my shadow right here is the direct evidence of that. And by virtue, the maintenance of my presence here at the same location and the light source here, that's why I'm facing this and keeping my hand up because I'm getting to the point. The point is, while the entity is pacing about, these are demons in planes over here. The entity is sounding sirens. The entity is also keeping the light source here. And by entity, I'm referencing the demonic entity. The demonic entity that's aiming inside of my apartment, light above my bedroom door while I'm physically indisposed, they're engaging in the same demonic conduct, pacing around in both directions. They're monitoring me while my panties are down. They're using planes and helicopters, and they're demons that are surrounding the perimeter, monitoring me while that engineer light is inside of my apartment while my panties are down. That's the state that's going to be prosecuted as a sex offender, and they're doing it in the specific environment. Everybody at Alvarado Gardens is monitoring as well. While you're hearing those sirens, it's audible activity. That audible activity is occurring while you have what the ongoing perpetual presence in your path, and engineered light is key to that presence. That engineered light coexists with what is perpetual presence in your path, and this presence is specific to what is also coexisting, which is audible activity. And the entity engages in the creation of audible activity, which is typically amplified. Amplification not only is demonic because the entity creates amplified audible activity, even no matter how far away the activity, whatever the action that's being taken. For example, a dumpster being emptied, like you saw waste management. No matter how far it is, it's being heard when I'm in the depths of my apartment on the opposite side, and they're way down on the hillside on a street, on a residential street down there. It's also relevant, not only that audible activity, because it's audible activity, period. I'm letting you know about the demonic feature. Amplification is demonic. That's also evidenced by my video documentation. When I walk out of my office or I walk out of my apartment, I've got years of documentation showing amplification. You'll see the helicopter in the distance, but I'm inside of my office and I can hear it. That's amplification. Those are demons that want to appear at a far distance. Oh, this has nothing to do with you. The targeted individual is a paranoid schizophrenic. I'm over here flying. I'm not even looking at how can you even state that we're focused on you. Look at all these people all around you. You're targeted by the audible activity. You also know that it's targeted by the environment that's around you. The maintenance of the light source for the duration of the day, that's how you know you're being targeted. You're being targeted with what is the maintenance of engineered light. Exhibit A. Engineered light in the laundry room. That's impossible light. That's not sunlight. You also know it's not sunlight because of the light that you see appearing on my ceiling, because of the multiple shadows that you see, because of the leaves on the trees that's appearing through magnified light, through closed blinds, because of the light that you see manifesting out of nowhere. When you're looking at the floor, that was supposedly sunlight, right? All right, because the illusion is, oh, that's the sun. Oh, so this is sunlight. Okay, so then what's the light that's just appearing out of nowhere in the shade? Why is my shadow upright on walls in the shade? None of this is sunlight. None of it. That's federal prison, all right? And I'm gonna go get their license plate. That's the entity crossing path. Engineer light moves across the dumpster. That's not the sun, and that's not sunlight, all right? And that's a demon that's crossing path while the entity is sounding sirens. Federal prison, independent grounds of federal prison, okay? So the entity is engaging in this pattern of conduct while the people of the state maintain criminal presence. That's why everybody at Alvarado Gardens is going to federal prison. That's why. Okay, the government shall not place you under surveillance through the people of the state. And at 5:07 p.m. in Upland, California, you will see, after I'm documenting the maintenance of the light source for the duration of the day at the Upland Public Library, located at 450 North Euclid Avenue in Upland, California. Again, that same venue, I'm there at 7:51 in the morning, and the light source is hovering over my head. And then you're going to recall the documentation, just like you saw this morning, the sun is rising in alignment to my apartment. Well, I'm feet away from my same apartment building, and the entity has the sun here as well. This is not the sun, it's not the natural environment. You're listening to audible activity, you're looking at group stalking, criminal surveillance, while a demon is crossing path and light is moving across surfaces. That's how demons are monitoring you. And it is also, not only is it terrorism while a government is doing so through the people, that's P.O.C. doing so with children. That's Susana Martinez, she's losing custody of her children. Those children are engaging in group stalking. That's why she's also losing custody of them, all right? And she's engaging in what is criminal facilitation, while demons are engaging in what is the use. Third parties are utilizing children to engage in the demonic behavioral pattern, criminal summoning via children, all right? Contribution to the delinquency of minors, all right? Everybody at Alvarado Gardens is going to federal prison, and you're also understanding what is the maintenance of that specific environment. There is no sunlight where Susana Martinez is driving her car, and light is going to ricochet across onto surfaces or on the dumpster, like you've seen already, like you saw demonstrated by a supposed stranger engaging in the identical behavioral pattern. First of all, the light source is over here at 9 o'clock in the morning. It is still here. And you saw that supposed stranger coming on, driving, and engineer light was all across the apartment building. That's not the sun. And it's still here, by the way. It's still here. 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That was 8 hours ago. Not the sun. It's also not the sun while the light source is documented over me at the Upland Public Library through the roof. Very exclusive sky space. And it's there all day long. The two are not happening at the same time. That's speaking to what is occurring. Everything that you hear, everything that you see, they are maintaining presence. They're like the demon possessed are cockroaches, and they're moving all around you. This is exactly what's happening. Demons want to pace back and forth. This is called group stalking. They're crossing your path. Crossing your path. That's what they're doing in airplanes, crossing path repeatedly. And they're creating audible activity by amplifying it. And this is what LAPD is doing on an ongoing basis. This is what Smart Janitorial was engaging in today. This is what the United States Postal Service was engaging in today. This is what AT&T was engaging in today. This is what the entity that was group stalking via bail cab present at the crime scene engaging in today. There is no sun that will be present all day long for the duration of the day. And so you're looking at what is the engagement in the state's criminal system, which is occurring in an unnatural environment. That unnatural environment is one that you're never supposed to even be aware. Okay, but you're going to notice the sun that's over the Upland Public Library at 5:07 p.m. and I'm here at 5:14 walking out. 7-minute difference. That's a negligible difference. This is not the sun that's over the Upland Public Library, nor would it ever be the sun, because the sun doesn't remain over one address for the duration of the day. And while you're in that environment, you're looking at the government admit that it's placing an American citizen under surveillance. They're violating Title 18, Section 2261A. The people of the state are monitoring on communication devices, via communication devices, on the venue of the internet as well. I'm speaking the language under Title 18. This is what the government is doing, and it's being facilitated through the people who are living in an engineered environment. All of these venues, they're facilitating venues. These are not, this is no expression of First Amendment rights. They are present on behalf of a government that's maintaining a criminal system. So this is criminal presence in the path of the target individual while the government is keeping them under surveillance, i.e. group stalking. You are group stalking where you live. You're group stalking where you come and report to work, like Carla Lopez did today in the specific environment, threatening my life, threatening my safety, vicariously acting on behalf of that government that is heavily documented, engaging in stalking in that environment. Where that phenomenon is present, it's a threat to your life, it's a threat to your safety, it's a threat to your overall well-being. The entity is routinely stalking in that environment, harassing in that environment, even defaming in that environment, kidnapping in that environment, while they're placing you under surveillance and then masquerading as though they have jurisdiction under the law. They don't, because they're stalking you, and they're stalking you vicariously. Everybody that lives at Alvarado Gardens is going to federal prison. All right, everybody that came to Alvarado Gardens today was group stalking on behalf of the state, and this is why those companies, like I stated, the United States Postal Service is going to be prosecuted. The entity is going to be prosecuted. Smart Janitorial is going to be prosecuted civilly and criminally. And those ladies that are present, I'm just going to be professional, call them ladies, but a group stalker is not a lady or a gentleman. These are demon-possessed psychotic sex offenders, and that's based on their pattern of conduct, and they're going to federal prison. All right, this government that you see pacing in the sky space in airplanes, that's evidence that's going against the people of the state who were present today, even under the name of company names, the guise of company names like Waste Management. This is the environment that they're amplifying audible activity in. that they are present in the path in, and that they are engaging in what is harassment while they are monitoring documentation. That's waste management engaging in the identical conduct that Susana Martinez did. Under no circumstances does driving a car result in impossible light moving across surfaces. But that is the pattern of conduct by, first of all, demons who are group stalking. Group stalking is a system of surveillance. And that's why you have what is the criminal surveillance of the LAPD. That's the state stalking directly. And that is within a body of long documented conduct by the state. The phenomenon is there, and then everything that's occurring within that phenomenon is serving what is criminal surveillance. Title 18 is relevant, but the entity is engaging in what is a violation of your constitutional rights, placing you under surveillance. Namely, the Fourth Amendment rights. The entity is engaging in violating your human rights as well. But I want to be clear, there are other federal laws that are relevant with regard to prosecution. I have focused on federal stalking, and the government and the people of the state are in the shoes of the government. You are not present as an individual. You don't speak as an individual. You don't act as an individual. You're understanding the malice of the system. Everything that is said and done is serving for criminal monitoring. There are no circumstances, that are coincidental in the specific environment. It is literally, and you're dealing, and I also want to let you know that because of the specific environment, so you're already aware of what's supernatural. When you're looking at this light activity, you're aware of the supernatural. But I want to be clear, not only are there no coincidences, there are no coincidences because you're dealing with people who are demons. All right? They know what you're doing when they're not even looking at you. A demon wants to look the opposite direction while their third eye is entirely focused on you. Everything about their conduct, their action is focused on you. So while they're driving and parking like Dupree did of 1806, who's going to federal prison, he is stalking me in the path, the use of his brake lights. He is stalking because he's present in the specific environment, and his movement and presence is creating a light activity. Understand that. A demon doesn't have to look at you. A demon also knows when your hand is in your pocket and when you're moving your middle finger around. And they're stalking with audible activity creation. This is the reality. This is the demonic feature of their behavioral patterns. Everybody at Alvarado Gardens is going to federal prison. They are under a light source that is not possibly natural. While I'm documenting and reminding you about the light source that's over 450 North Euclid Avenue, that's the Upland Public Library in Upland, California. The documented maintenance of a light source over me in an entirely different region, and the entity is posing an impermissible threat. Not only is everybody at Alvarado Gardens going to federal prison, everybody at Alvarado Gardens is going to federal prison for a prolonged term. This is an unprecedented level of criminal cooperation and facilitation to a federal government, which is intolerable under federal law. It shall not be under any circumstances tolerated. And so the entity's impunity that you have witnessed, the malice that you have witnessed, is going to be grounds for enhanced time in federal prison. It is currently 5:27 p.m. and I'll upload that video to the drive so you can look at that light source. You can look at that light activity inside of the Upland Public Library, and then you're going to look at the environment here. You're going to remember the light activity on my wall, where the entity is acting as though the sun would ever be present in the morning and the evening in the same apartment. It is beyond asininity. It is literally the admission against Dupree, who's demonstrating impunity. All right, Dupree represents the entity. The entity's been monitoring documentation for years, and Dupree acts with ongoing impunity, using his vehicle, sounding his alarm as a means of surrounding me with noise and light activity on more than one occasion, and is living here, systematically monitoring with the LAPD, systematically monitoring with minor children, systematically monitoring with the people of the state who are engaged in an ongoing criminal act, which is terrorism, while the entity is engaged in surveillance on behalf and in concert with the state under what is a light source. That is the direct evidence against the people of the state. So anyway, it's 5:28 p.m. and this is P.O.C. The entity is a sex offender. The entity is engaged in what is ongoing terrorism, and that's exactly how they're going to be prosecuted. That's exactly what's going on in the criminal record, and they are also engaging in what is that criminal act on behalf of the government with and via minor children, and those under the age of majority, including Susana Martinez's teenage daughter. She's going to be prosecuted as a group stalker because that's exactly what she is. She's using her minor children, they're like 4 or 5, 6, to engage in group stalking. She's going to federal prison for that. All right, but the entity is engaging in that unfathomable, that unprecedented criminal act, threatening the life of another, terrorizing, tormenting another human being as a government, and they do it with children. Yes, you are absolutely removing those children from those homes, and they are going to federal prison. All right, it is currently 5:29 p.m. and this is P.O.C. This is the maintenance of the light source. This is no indication of any natural environment. This is engineered light that's on the door. This is speaking to the immediate presence of the light source. This creates light activity. When you're touching surfaces with engineered light, it creates multiple shadows. You've got 3 here. This is impossible light activity. The sun is not over the 450 North Euclid Avenue, the Upland Public Library, because that was a light source over my head at the Upland Public Library. It's not the natural environment whatsoever. This is revealing to you what is demonic. This is the engagement in the state system, and this is referred to to ordinarily on the internet in the world as a secret society. The secret society includes the government. The government is placing American citizens under surveillance, and this is happening in the U.S. All right, it is currently 5:29 p.m. and that's POC.